Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So today we are going to take a sutta from Majjhima Nikāya. This is called the shorter series of question and answer, Cūḻavedallasutta. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel's sanctuary. Then the lay follower Vaishakha went to the Bhikkhuni Dhammadina, and after paying homage to her, he sat down at one side and asked her. So Bhante kind of gave the background story always about Dhammadina and Vaishakha. Vaishakha was a wealthy merchant, but he was also a king's treasurer. So he literally knew where the gold was buried. So he was a very important person for the king. And Bhikkhuni Dhammadina, before she was a Bhikkhuni, she was his wife. And once while going to the Buddha, Vaishakha attained anagami status. Okay, so he rid himself of all kinds of sensual craving and aversions. So when he went home, he did not want to meet his wife as he would normally meet. When his wife went to the bed, he slept on the ground. On seeing that her wife came to the ground, then he went to the bed. Then she asked him, what is this strange behavior you have? So he explained that, see, I have been to the Buddha and now I am an anagami. I don't have any desire for the normal household life. We can stay together as brother and sister if we want to. Then she said that, see, I also had the desire to become a nun and learn the Buddha's teaching. If you allow me, then I will become a nun. So he said, okay, I will allow you to become a nun. When she became a nun, she progressed very fast and she became an arahant. So now Vaishakha used to come and question her a few times. So he came and was asking some question. So there is he wanted to check for himself that how advanced in wisdom his wife has become, or his ex-wife. So Bhikkhuni Dhammadina, he went and paid homage to her. So he was paying homage to his wife because now she was a nun. Okay, so in that sense he was doing his duty. Lady, identity is said. What is called identity by the Blessed One? Friend Vaishakha, these 5 aggregates affected by clinging are called identity by the Blessed One. So one way of saying is that the 5 aggregates which are there, affected or when affected by clinging, it becomes an identity. Because in an arahant, these 5 aggregates are there, but they are not affected by clinging. That is the material form aggregate. That is the material. That is what is our physical body. Affected by clinging. The feeling aggregate. Feeling is when the contact happens, there is a feeling. That feeling aggregate. Affected by clinging. The perception aggregate. Affected by clinging. So when there is contact, there is feeling. When there is feeling, there is a component of perception over there. So what is perception also is clarified. The formation aggregate affected by clinging. Formations are sankharas. Sankharas means anything which are brought together. So it can be thoughts, it can be any things which has been conditioned. So that is the basic criteria for sankhara. and the consciousness aggregate affected by clinging. These 5 aggregates affected by clinging are called identity by the Blessed One. So the identity is our ego, or the mana which is there. So the mana or the ego which is there is the identity. We say I am that, or I say it is mine. So the I in that is the identity.
You said sankhara is anything that's brought together?
Constructed,
I've never heard it like that before.
See, like I was explaining the pen, okay? The pen can be considered to be a sankhara, okay? Because there is no pen actually in reality, but it is brought together certain things and then it becomes. A car is there is a tire, there is a roof, and they are brought together and we say this is a car. So, for certain things to happen, those sankharas should be there, the component of getting things together. Saying, good lady, the lay follower Vaishakha delighted and rejoiced in the Bhikkhuni Dhammadina's word. Then he asked her a further question. Lady, origin of identity, he said. What is called the origin of identity by the Blessed One? Friend Vaishakha, it is craving which brings renewal of being. So we talked about how beings are reborn. So this is what the Buddha, Vaishakha is saying. This is also a Buddha's teaching itself. So she is saying that craving which brings renewal of being. Because we need to want to become something, because of that need, that our next being comes. Is accompanied by delight and lust, and delights in this and that. That is craving for sensual pleasure, craving for being, and craving for non-being. Craving for non-being is the kind of emotion we have that I want to end myself. So all these suicides which are happening in the world, why they happen is because that is a fundamental kind of way of the craving. The one of the craving is to end, but there is no end because what we can end is just this body. But the cycle continues, the consciousness continues, and then the dukkha also continues because the samsara cycle continues. It does not end with this body. So the craving for non-being. This is called the origin of identity by the Blessed One. Lady, cessation of identity is said. What is called the cessation of identity by the Blessed One? Friend Vaishakha, it is the remainderless fading away and ceasing, the giving up, relinquishing, letting go, rejecting of this same craving. So what is this? What are we doing in 6 hours? So we are doing the same thing, that is we are giving up, we are relinquishing it, we are letting go, we are rejecting of the same craving. So when I said that when the thought is taking away your attention, what is there in that? There is craving. So craving comes as tension and tightness. That is the reason we have to relax and re-smile, bring something wholesome and return back. So that is the reason Bhante says that when we are doing 6R, we are doing a mini Nibbana. We are extinguishing a fire. What is the fire? The fire of craving. So each time you are doing a 6R, you are actually proper 6R, not just recognizing, returning, but recognizing, releasing, relaxing, re-smiling and returning. If you are doing that, then you are creating a mini Nibbana. You are letting go of the craving. And when you have reminderless fading away, when you keep on doing that, you are teaching your mind a new way of doing things. And when this is reminderless, that means now you don't have to remind yourself. That is the time you are rid of the identity. This is called the cessation of identity by the Blessed One. Lady, the way leading to the cessation of identity. The way leading to the cessation of identity is said. What is called the way leading to the cessation of identity by the Blessed One? So now you will notice that this is following the same pattern of Four Noble Truths. What is identity? There is identity. There is a reason for this identity. There is a cessation of this identity, and there is a way leading to the cessation of identity. So 4 noble truths are there in most of the teaching. So in ignorance also, there is a ignorance, there is a reason for the ignorance, there is a cessation of ignorance, and there is a way leading to the cessation of ignorance. So each step of the dependent origination also has the 4 noble truths in it. So over here also you can see that for the cessation of identity, there is a way leading to the cessation of identity. Friend Vaishaka, it is just this noble eightfold path, that is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So now Bhante has given a alternate meaning or alternate translation for it, that is harmonious perspective, harmonious imaging, harmonious communication. This communication is not just the verbal communication, but the communication you are having with yourself. When your mind's attention is moving away, are you blaming yourself? Are you kind of cursing yourself? Why am I like this, or something like that? Or are you saying that this happened because of the ignorance, because my mindfulness was not there, and let go of that feeling? And just let it go, relax, and come back. And when you are communicating with, in your mind also, about something which is there, a hindrance is there, are you fighting with the hindrance, or recognizing that it is impersonal and letting it go? So the communication is, the harmonious communication is not just the speech, but with ourselves also, how you are communicating. Harmonious movement. Harmonious movement is the movement of the mind. Are you recognizing the mind's movement is going from one thing to another, and how it is impersonal, and how we are causing dukkha by resisting this? So that is harmonious movement. Harmonious livelihood is living your life or in a more positive manner, in an impersonal manner, not taking things personally. Harmonious practice. Harmonious practice, the 6 R which we are doing. Harmonious collectedness. Harmonious collectedness, or as this is said, mindfulness. Okay, so or harmonious, observation. Harmonious observation. Observation is what? The observation of the mind's movement, how the mind's movement is moving from one thing to another. So the mindfulness is the power of observation, how you are observing how things are happening, how it is going from one thing to another. Harmonious collectedness is the jhanas which are there. That is the collectedness, and when our mind is collected at one point. Now, another translation which Bhikkhu Bodhi is kind of using currently is unification of mind. That is also a good translation, because concentration means in some way the meaning has changed, and it is becoming one-pointed concentration. But unification mind is also, because it is unifying at a point. So at a point of observation. So on the object of meditation. So it is unifying. So that is the eightfold path. Lady, is that clinging the same as these 5 aggregates affected by clinging, or is the clinging something apart from the 5 aggregates affected by clinging? Friend Vaishaka, that clinging is neither the same as these 5 aggregates affected by clinging, nor is clinging something apart from the 5 aggregates affected by clinging. It is the desire and lust in regard to the 5 aggregates affected by clinging, that is the clinging there. So the desire and lust for things is what is keeping us there. But if there is, as a arahant, there is no desire and no clinging. So, but they still have these 5 aggregates. It does not mean that when you are an arahant, you kind of dissolve into air. You still are this body. Lady, how does identity view come to be? Here, friend Vaishaka, an untaught ordinary person who has no regard for noble ones, and is unskilled and undisciplined in their Dhamma, who has no regard for true men, and is unskilled and undisciplined in their Dhamma, regards material form as self. So what happens is that one person who is untaught, that means that there is a ignorance is also there over here. Okay, so person who is he has no regard for the noble ones, means he does not care about the teaching of the Buddha, and is unskilled and undisciplined in the Dhamma, means in the noble one's Dhamma he is unskilled and undisciplined, who has no regard for true men and is unskilled and undisciplined in their Dhamma. So he is, what he is not doing, that he is not listening to what the Buddha's words are there. Now I will switch hopefully to another Nikāya, that is Aṅguttara Nikāya, and read one sutta over there regarding this, how important it is to listen to the Dhamma talk and how it affects everything. Okay, it opened. So this is Aṅguttara Nikāya. This is book of 10, okay, 61, 10.61. Bhikkhus, this is said, a first point of ignorance, students, is not seen such that before this there was no ignorance, and afterward it came into being. So one thing important Buddha is clarifying is, there is no first point of ignorance has been seen. So before this there was no ignorance, and after this there was ignorance. Still, ignorance is seen to have a specific condition. So we have gone through the dependent origination, and ignorance is at the start, but Buddha is saying that there is something which kind of conditions ignorance also. There is a condition for the ignorance. I say students that ignorance has nutriment. It is not without nutriment. And what is the nutriment for ignorance? It should be said the 5 hindrances. Okay? Sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and doubt. So those are the 5 hindrances. So if you have 5 hindrances, that becomes a nutriment for the ignorance. It should be said the 5 hindrances too, I say, have a nutriment. They are not without a nutriment. And what is the nutriment for the 5 hindrances? It should be said the 3 kinds of misconduct. The 3 kinds of misconduct too, I say, have a nutriment. So what are the 3 kinds of misconduct? The thinking unwholesome thoughts, speaking unwholesome thoughts, doing unwholesome things. These are the 3 things which are misconduct. There are 3 kinds of misconduct. I say have a nutriment. They are not without nutriment. And what is the nutriment for the 3 kinds of misconduct? It should be said non-restraint of sense faculties. Non-restraint of sense faculties means if you want to see something, you will see. If you want to hear something, you will hear. If you want to smell something, you will smell. You want to taste something, you will taste. You want to touch something, you will touch. And you want to think something, you will think. There is no restraint of the sense faculties. So, non-restraint of the sense faculty too, I say, have a nutriment. It is not without nutriment. And what is the nutriment of the non-restraint of sense faculties? And one of the sense faculties is speech also. Whenever you want to talk, you will talk. That should not be there. It should be said, lack of mindfulness and clear comprehension. So if one is mindful and has clear comprehension, then he will have restraint on his sense faculties. Okay? And what is the misconduct which is happening? It is the speech. Which if you are speaking, what happens? Hindrances come up. And what happens is your ignorance grows. So by speaking, you are kind of causing all this chain reaction. And by not being mindful, what is not being mindful is not siksaring all those thoughts which are coming in your mind. It is Aṅguttara Nikāya 10.61. And Lack of mindfulness and clear comprehension too, I say, has a nutriment. It is not without nutriment. And what is the nutriment for lack of mindfulness and clear comprehension? It should be said, careless attention. Careless attention means that you are not paying attention to your object of meditation. So that is what we are saying, that when you are getting up also, you have to have your spiritual friend with you. If you have direction, you should keep sending it to the directions. When you are walking meditation, you are eating, you are cleaning your room, whatever you are doing, you should have that attention should be there. So the careless attention. So when once you are not paying attention to the object of meditation and paying attention here and there, your mind is going not having good mindfulness, and then other things kind of come up. And what is the nutriment for careless attention? It should be said, lack of faith. Lack of faith means that you don't believe that what you are doing will result in something. If you don't believe, then you will not take action. You think that this does not kind of affect me. So lack of faith. I say that a nutriment is not, lack of faith has a nutriment. It is not without nutriment. And what is the nutriment for lack of faith? It should be said, not hearing the good Dhamma. Not hearing the good Dhamma too, I say, has a nutriment. It is not without nutriment. And what is the nutriment for not hearing the good Dhamma? It should be said, not associating with good persons. So, if you associate with good persons, you get to hear the good Dhamma. If you get to hear the good Dhamma, then you have faith. If you have faith, you have attention. You have attention, you have mindfulness. If you have mindfulness, you have sense restraint. When you have sense restraint, then all the other things which are there will not come. Then slowly you come to ignorance, and ignorance also goes. Then sankhara goes. All these things happens, and the end of the suffering happens. So it all starts with associating with good persons and hearing the good Dhamma. That is what Bhikkhuni Dhammadina was kind of pointing out. We can get back to the others.
Can you just read that all the way through?
Okay. I'll read as I continue reading the sutta, okay? Thus, not associating with good persons, becoming fulfills not hearing the good Dhamma. Not hearing the good Dhamma, becoming full, fills up lack of faith. Lack of faith, becoming full, fills up careless attention. Careless attention, becoming full, fills up lack of mindfulness and clear comprehension. Lack of mindfulness and clear comprehension, becoming full, fills up non-restraint of the sense faculties. Non-restraint of the sense faculties, becoming full, fills up the three kinds of misconduct. The three kinds of misconduct, becoming full, fills up the five hindrances. The five hindrances, becoming full, fills up ignorance. Thus there is nutriment for ignorance, and in this way it becomes full. Just as when it is raining and the raindrops drop in thick droplets on a mountain top, the water flows down along the slope, fills up the cliffs, gullies, creeks. These become full, fills up the pools. This becoming full, fills up the lakes. This becoming full, fills up the streams. This becoming full, fills up the rivers. And this becoming full, fill up the great ocean. Thus there is nutriment for the great ocean. So in this way, raindrops falling on the hills will slowly come and fulfill the ocean. Means fill the ocean. In the same way, you not kind of associating with good people and not hearing the good Dhamma will fulfill the ignorance. So in this way, this kind of the cycle functions. Okay, again worked. So I came back again over here. He regards feeling as self. So he regards material form. He regards material form as self, or self as possessed of material form, or material form as in self, or self as in material form. So this is a little bit complicated. I don't claim to understand fully, but there are a few things like one thing is that some people think that the body is self. Okay, so that material thing which is there, the body is self. Some people think that there is a soul and there is body. Okay, so there is inside there is a soul, and then outside there is a body. There inside there is something, and outside there is something. Then the body is possessed by self. Then that is the kind of this thing concept is there. So all these concepts are coming because we are not knowing the Buddha's teaching, because Buddha is teaching that it is everything dependently originated. So there is no kind of permanent self for it to be there, because everything is dependently origination. Now also our body is dependent on many things have come together, and we have this body. So food, we are dependent on food. We don't have food, we don't have the body. So that way there is a lot of kind of a chain of reaction for us to be over here. But this is a wrong view. As self in material form, he regards feeling as self, or self as possessed of feeling, or feeling as in self, or self as in feeling. He regards perception as self, or self as possessed of perception, or perception as in self, or self as in perception. He regards formations as self, or self as possessed of formations, or formations as in self, or self as in formations. He regards consciousness as self, or self as possessed of consciousness, or consciousness as in self, or self as in consciousness. That is how identity view comes to be. So by not knowing the truth, then what happens is the individual will think, and by thinking and logic will come to one of the conclusions. In the Dīgha Nikāya, the first sutta is the Dhammagavesi. That sutta has the Buddha is showing what are the different kinds of concepts people have, and what are the limitations through which thinking or observing. In observation also there can be limitations. How wrong views come to be. One of the observation is that somebody goes into meditation. He attains the first jhana. So he thinks that that is the only thing which can be attained. There cannot be anything more attainment than that. Then second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, and then arupa jhanas. So when Alara Kalama was there, then he was thinking that nothingness was everything. Rama was thinking that neither perception nor non-perception was everything. But Buddha said that no, there is something beyond neither perception or non-perception also. So in that way, just by your attainments you can be limited. Second is, if you are a good meditator, you may be able to see your past lives. Okay? And by seeing your past life, you may come to wrong conclusions. You may see that you were in the past life doing wrong things, but you are reborn in a heaven. Okay? Then you may think that, oh, there is no karmic this thing. If you do wrong things, you can go to heaven. Then they may be kind of thinking that somebody sees himself doing good things, but going to hell. Then they say, no, you should not do good things because there is no benefit of that. So all this, by observation also, you can get into wrong views, because you are not seeing the bigger picture. When the Buddha is there, he can see the bigger picture. He can see 100,000 lifetimes also if he wants to investigate. So Buddha is not all-knowing. Okay, it has been kind of confirmed in the suttas. He says he is not all-knowing, but anything he puts his mind to, he can know. So if he wants to know about, say, this bowl, then he can know everything which is there to know about the bowl. But he has all the knowledge is not there all the time. That is not the kind of knowledge he has. That's the reason sometimes Buddha asks questions that to people, you know, then to kind of get the background of this. So when he wants to know, he can know. whatever, wherever he puts his mind's attention, he can find out whatever is there. Lady, how does identity view not come to be? Here, friend Vaishakha, a well-taught noble disciple who has regard for noble ones and is skilled and disciplined in their Dhamma, who has regard for true men and is skilled and disciplined in their Dhamma, does not regard material form as self, in the same way with everything else. This is how identity view does not come to be. So he does not believe in views. He investigates for himself. He sees his mind and he looks at what is happening, how things are arising and passing away, how it is arising on its own, stay on its own and goes on its own. That means it is impersonal. So he recognizes the impersonal phenomena of this body and mind. The Noble Eightfold Path. Lady, what is the Noble Eightfold Path? Friend Vaishakha, it is this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness and right concentration. Lady, is the Noble Eightfold Path conditioned or unconditioned? Friend Vaishakha, the Noble Eightfold Path is conditioned. Lady, our condition means this is also a part of the conditional. There is only one thing which is unconditioned. What is that? Nibbana, correct. That is called the unconditioned. Lady, are the three aggregates included by the Noble Eightfold Path, or is the Noble Eightfold Path included by the three aggregates? That is Dana, Shila, Bhavana. Sorry, Shila, Samadhi, Panya. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. The three aggregates are not included by the Noble Eightfold Path, friend Vaishakha, but the Noble Eightfold Path is included by the three aggregates. Right speech, right action and right livelihood, these states are included in the aggregate of virtue, that is Shila. Right effort, right mindfulness and right concentration, these states are included in the aggregate of right concentration, that is Samadhi. Right view and right intention, these states are included in the aggregate of wisdom, Panya. Concentration. Lady, what is concentration or collectedness? What is the basis of collectedness? What is the equipment of collectedness? What is the development of collectedness? Unification of mind. Friend Vaishakha is collectedness. The four foundations of mindfulness are the basis of collectedness. The four right kinds of striving are the equipment of collectedness. Four right kinds of striving is the 6R itself. Okay, that is we make it simplified and give it to you as 6R. So what you are doing is the four right kinds of striving are the equipment for collectedness. So that is the equipment for getting into unification of mind. The repetition, development and cultivation of these same states is the development of collectedness therein. So the repetition is important. The repetition, development and cultivation. Repetition means you have to repeat again and again. Cultivation means you have to develop your understanding about this, and the cultivation is that you have to let it grow. Okay, so you have to repeat whenever it is needed, and you have to understand it and let it develop and grow. This same state is the development of collectedness therein. Formations. Lady, how many formations are there? There are three formations, friend Vaishakha: the bodily formation, the verbal formation and mental formation. But lady, what is the bodily formation? What is the verbal formation? What is the mental formation? In breathing and out breathing, friend Vaishakha, are the bodily formation. Thinking and examining thought are the verbal formation. Perception and feeling are the mental formation. So she explains this also. But lady, Why are in-breathing and out-breathing the bodily formation? Why are thinking and examining thought the verbal formation? Why are perception and feeling the mental formations? Friend Vaishyaka, in-breathing and out-breathing are bodily. These are state bound up with the body. That is why in-breathing and out-breathing are the bodily formation. So, in-breathing and out-breathing is based on the body. First one applies thought and sustains thought, and subsequently one breaks out into speech. So what is there? Thinking is there, then examining is there, then one kind of speaks. So when one thought comes, then you kind of keep on examining it, and then you kind of speak. So for any speech to happen, there is first thinking is there, then you break out in speech, and subsequently one breaks out into speech. That is why thinking and examining thought are the verbal formation. Perception, feeling are mental. These are state bound up with the mind. That is why perception and feeling are mental formation. So we were talking about feeling sometime a couple of days back. So I said it is in the mind that feeling happens. It is not the vibrations or something like that. So this is when the contact is there, that feeling is there. So that is where perception is also there. So contact, feeling and perception are bound together. They are all conjoined. You cannot break them up and examine them one by one, because when there is contact, there is feeling, and then there has to be perception is there, and there is consciousness is there when the feeling is there. Because if there is there is no perceiving of the feeling, then you cannot have the feeling. Or if there is no consciousness, then there is no perception. So these are all conjoined. You cannot disjoin it. So that is the reason. So feeling is bound up with the mind, and perception is also in the mind, and consciousness is also a part of the mind. Lady, how does the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling come to be? Friend Vaishaka, when a student is attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, it does not occur to him, I shall attain the cessation of perception and feeling, or I am attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, or I have attained the cessation of perception and feeling. So, when the cessation of perception and feeling is happening, one does not know. So I'll repeat that. Friend Vaishaka, when a student is attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, it does not occur to him, I shall attain the cessation of perception and feeling, or I am attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, or I have attained the cessation of perception and feeling. But rather his mind has previously been developed. Means in neither perception or non-perception, and in nothingness, in quiet mind, your mind has been developed in such a way that it leads him to that state. So when your mind is developed, then it goes. But it is not necessarily in the neither perception or non-perception or nothingness that the mind is developed. If based on the individual kind of personality and your past sankharas, and you can attain in first jhana to the arupa jhanas. So in any of the jhanas, in any of the four jhanas or any of the four arupa jhanas, you may attain cessation of perception and feeling. So you have to kind of keep on developing your mind. That is what is important over here. So what it says is, but rather his mind has been previously been developed in such a way that it leads him to that state. What is the development? Is the impersonality. So when the impersonality has been developed, then it happens. One of the things I think Sister Khema used to say, or Bhante, I don't remember correctly, but what they used to say was, when you are not there, that is the time the cessation occurs. If you are still there, then the cessation is not possible, because there is still attachment that I am experiencing this. Once you have kind of had a distance, even for a moment, then that time the cessation occurs, when you have a perfect balance of the mind, and there is just looking at what is there, and there is a understanding of impersonality, then the cessation occurs. Lady, when a student is attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, which state sees first in him? The bodily formation, the verbal formation, or the mental formation? Friend Vishaka, when a student is attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, first the verbal formation ceases, then the bodily formation, then the mental formation. Lady, how does emergence from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling come to be? Friend Vishaka, when a student is emerging from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, it does not occur to him, I shall emerge from the attainment of cessation of perception and feeling, or I am emerging from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, or I have emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling. But rather his mind has previously been developed in such a way that it leads him to that state. So when he is coming back also, why he does not know all these things? Because there is no perception over there. Cessation of perception and feeling. So when there is no perception, how can he perceive those things? But what has been, mind has been previously developed means, this is also determinations, which I told you about, determine what time you are getting up. And this will help you kind of in later stages, when a person has reached the anagami stage. Then he previously determines that he is going to come back after 20 minutes or come back after 1 hour. And he goes into cessation and then he can come. But before that, he is not able to direct his mind. So when he is in anagami, he will be able to do such things. So this determination is that preparation of the mind to kind of come out. Lady, when or if it happens kind of naturally for before you are this thing, then it will take its time. Sometimes it is a second, sometimes less than a second. But you will know when you are out. You will not know you are in. So that's the reason sometimes we ask that it is like the light goes out and then comes back. But you are coming to know when the light has come back, not when the light has gone. So that is the kind of feeling. Lady, when a student is emerging from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, which states arise first in him? The bodily formation, the verbal formation, or the mental formation? Friend Vaishaka, when a student is emerging from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, first the mental formation arises, then the bodily formation, then the verbal formation. Lady, when a student has emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, how many kinds of contact touch him? Friend Vaishaka, when a student has emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, 3 kinds of contact touch him: voidness contact, signless contact, desireless contact. Lady, when a student has emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, to what does his mind incline to? What does he lean to? What does it tend? Friend Vaishaka, when a student has emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, his mind inclines to seclusion, leans to seclusion, tends to seclusion. So when the mind comes out of the cessation experience, a person wants to kind of meditate or wants to kind of be in seclusion. But what is the seclusion? Seclusion is from the cravings or the attachments to the sense this thing. But his sense faculties are bright at that point of time. So he can see more clearly, he can hear more clearly, he can experience sensations more clearly. So because his faculties are bright. Lady, feeling. Lady, how many kinds of feeling are there? Friend Vaishaka, there are three kinds of feeling: pleasant feeling, painful feeling, and neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So there are three kinds of feeling. But in certain suttas, they have also been mentioned as two feeling only, the pleasant and unpleasant feeling. Because neither perception and non-perception feeling also is a feeling which is kind of pleasant. So you are not knowing. It is like when in the morning after drinking your cup of tea or something, you're just on a Sunday morning, you're just sitting there. You have nothing to do. The next thing is not planned, then you're just sitting there. There's nothing there. So that is the feeling which is there, which is not pleasurable also. You're not enjoying some thing. You are not, it is not painful also, you are just there. So that is the kind of feeling that is also mentioned. And then there is a fight also about how many kinds of feelings are there. In one of the sutta that Bhante takes, there is a fight going on, saying that one says that it was two feelings, and then one says it's three feelings. Then the Buddha says there is two feelings, there are three feelings, there are six feelings, there are 18 feelings, there are 36 feelings, there are 72 feelings, and 108 feelings. So in a different manner, you can kind of explain this feeling. So this is three feelings which are the standard and most like times mentioned in the suttas. So there are three kinds of feeling: pleasant feeling, painful feeling, and neither painful nor pleasant feeling. But lady, what is pleasant feeling? What is painful feeling? What is neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Friend Vaishaka, whatever is felt bodily or mentally as pleasant and soothing is pleasant feeling. Okay? Whatever is felt bodily or mentally as painful and hurting is painful feeling. Whatever is felt bodily or mentally as neither soothing nor hurting is neither painful nor pleasant feeling. Lady, what is the pleasant, what is pleasant and what is painful in regard to pleasant feeling? What is painful and what is pleasant in regard to painful feeling? What is pleasant and what is painful in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling? So they are saying that what are the positives and negatives of each feeling. Each feeling has a positive and a negative. So what are the positives and negatives of each of the feeling? Friend Vaishaka, pleasant feeling is pleasant when it persists and painful when it changes. So the pleasant feeling is pleasant when it is there, but when it goes, that is the negative of it. Pleasant feeling is pleasant is positive. The negative is when it changes, it becomes painful. Painful feeling is painful when it persists. That's the negative in it. And pleasant when it changes. If there is a painful feeling and it goes, it becomes kind of, there is a relief. There is whatever pain is there, it has gone. So now, this is important factor. Neither painful nor pleasant feeling is pleasant when there is knowledge of it. So when you have knowledge of it, this is neither painful nor pleasant feeling is pleasant when there is knowledge of it, and painful when there is no knowledge of it. Why it is painful? Because there is ignorance in it. And why? How is it knowledge is there? When you are in the jhanas and you are experiencing equanimity, that is the time there is knowledge in it. So it is pleasant. So when you are going into say directions, when you are in joy, there is joy, and then there is a very much calmness comes. There is no vibrations. That is kind of a pleasant feeling, because there is awareness over there. Okay, and in neither painful or not pleasant feeling, when there is ignorance in it, then it creates kind of problem. So neither painful nor pleasant feeling is pleasant when there is knowledge of it, and painful when there is no knowledge of it. Underlying tendencies. Lady, what underlying tendency underlines pleasant feeling? What underlying tendency underlines painful feeling? What underlying tendency underlines neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Friend Vaishaka, the underlying tendency to lust underlines pleasant feeling. Okay? I like it. I want it. So underlying tendency to lust underlies pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to aversion underlies painful feeling. Aversion is I don't like it, I don't want it. That is, but both are a part of craving. One coin of craving is, one part is I don't like it, and the other is I like it. That is, I like it is also craving, I don't like it is also craving. They have two sides to it, but both are craving. The underlying tendency to ignorance underlines neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So, when there is neither pleasant or painful feeling, there is ignorance present. Lady, does the underlying tendency to lust underline all pleasant feeling? Does underlying tendency to aversion underline all painful feeling? Does the underlying tendency to ignorance underline all neither painful nor pleasant feeling? So is that in all cases that this is the truth? Friend Vaishaka, the underlying tendency to lust does not underline all pleasant feeling. So what is that pleasant feeling it does not lie is in jhanas. When you are in jhanas, the underlying tendency of pleasant feeling does not have lust in it. It does not have craving in it. It does not have the clinging in it. The underlying tendency to aversion does not underline all painful feelings. What are the feelings? When you are getting pain in meditation, okay? Then you are not paying attention to it. You are paying attention to your object of meditation. So then there is no aversion to that pain. You are developing your mind. That's the reason we say don't pay attention to it. Don't even ignore it. Pay attention to what you are supposed to pay attention to. So ignoring is also a kind of a fallacy. When we are trying to ignore, we are paying full attention to it. So you have, when we say ignore that, you have to take it as we are saying that you pay attention to your object of meditation. So the underlying feeling of aversion to the painful feeling is not there. The underlying tendency to ignorance does not underline all neither painful nor pleasant feeling. That is also in fourth jhana or any jhana where you are getting equanimity. Okay, where there is equanimity in jhanas, there is no underlying tendency to ignorance because you have total awareness of it. Lady, what should be abandoned in regard to pleasant feeling? What should be abandoned in regard to painful feeling? What should be abandoned in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Friend Vaishaka, the underlying tendency to lust should be abandoned in regard to pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to aversion should be abandoned in regard to painful feeling. The underlying tendency to ignorance should be abandoned in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So if those tendencies are there, you have to remove them. Lady, does the underlying tendency to lust have to be abandoned in regard to all pleasant feeling? Does underlying tendency to aversion have to be abandoned in regard to all painful feeling? Does the underlying tendency to ignorance have to be abandoned in regard to all neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Friend Vaishaka, the underlying tendency to lust does not have to be abandoned in regard to all pleasant feeling. Because you are in jhana, then you don't have to get rid of this pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to aversion does not have to be abandoned in regard to all painful feeling because you are paying attention to your object of meditation. You are not paying attention to your pain when you are in meditation. The underlying tendency to ignorance does not have to be abandoned in regard to all neither painful or not pleasant feeling. Here, friend Vaishaka, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome state, a student enters upon and abides in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thinking and examining thought with joy and happiness born of seclusion. With that, he abandons lust, and the underlying tendency to lust does not underline that. So when he is entering the first jhana, the underlying tendency to lust he is also letting go, because there are no 5 hindrances when you are there in the first jhana. Here a student considers thus: When shall I enter upon and abide in that base that the noble ones now enter upon and abide in? In one who thus generates a longing for the supreme liberation, grief arises with that longing as condition. With that he abandons aversion, and the underlying tendency to aversion does not underline that. So this is giving an example of somebody who wants to attain Nibbana. Okay, so that has a certain amount of aversion, that this samsara has dukkha and all these things. This has an aversion, but it is towards reaching the goal of Nibbana. So then that that feeling is unpleasant, but that does not have aversion in it. Okay, that aversion, the underlying tendency of aversion is not there for the feeling or the craving for Nibbana, or the craving for purification of mind, or craving for the development of the mind. So that is abandoned over there. Here, with the abandoning of the pleasure and pain, with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, a student enters upon and abides in the fourth jhana, which has neither painful nor pleasure, and purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. With that he abandons ignorance, and the underlying tendency to ignorance does not underline that. So, when you are in equanimity, there is no ignorance over there. Counterparts. Lady, what is the counterpart of pleasant feeling? Friend Vaishaka, painful feeling is the counterpart of pleasant feeling. That is what I said about the coin kind of thing. They say, what is the second side of that? What is the counterpart of painful feeling? Pleasant feeling is the counterpart of painful feeling. What is the counterpart of neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Ignorance is the counterpart of neither painful nor pleasant feeling. What is the counterpart of ignorance? True knowledge is the counterpart of ignorance. True knowledge. True knowledge is what? The knowledge of impermanence, dukkha, anatta, impersonality. Okay? So that is the true knowledge. And the true knowledge is gained how? By our understanding, when our mind is getting distracted, letting it go, relaxing, re-smiling, coming back, by understanding this is impersonal. This is not permanently over there, and when we are resisting, we are creating dukkha. Whatever is the truth, if we fight with the truth, that is the time we create dukkha. So the flip side, or the other side of ignorance is true knowledge. What is the counterpart of true knowledge? Deliverance is the counterpart of true knowledge. Deliverance is mukti. Okay? We in the Indian culture kind of know how to say mukti and crave for mukti. This is the path the Buddha is showing of the mukti. To get over those things. What is the counterpart of deliverance? Nibbana is the counterpart of deliverance. So when you are rid of this samsara, then you have actually reached Nibbana. So he asks a foolish question now. Maybe he is testing her wisdom. Lady, what is the counterpart of Nibbana? Friend Vaishaka, you have pushed your line of questioning too far. You were not able to grasp the limit of questions. For the holy life, friend Vaishaka is grounded upon Nibbana, culminates in Nibbana, ends in Nibbana. If you wish, friend Vaishaka, go to the Blessed One and ask him about the meaning of this. As the Blessed One explains it to you, so you shall remember it. So the Nibbana is the culmination of the practice. Means you are released from this cycle of samsara, is the kind of culmination of the practice. That is the end of the practice. That is the reason the monk is said, he has done what has to be done. Okay? So that is what it means by it being the end. Then the lay follower Vaishakha, having delighted and rejoiced in the Bhikkhuni Dhammadina's word, rose from his seat, and after paying homage to her, keeping her on his right side, he went to the Blessed One. After paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and told the Blessed One his entire conversation with Bhikkhuni Dhammadina. When he finished speaking, the Blessed One told him, "The Bhikkhuni Dhammadina is wise, Vaishakha. The Bhikkhuni Dhammadina has great wisdom. If you had asked me the meaning of this, I would have explained it to you in the same way that the Bhikkhuni Dhammadina has explained it. Such is the meaning, and you should remember it." That is what the Blessed One said. The lay follower Vaishakha was satisfied and delighted in Blessed One's word. So now Vaishakha, Buddha kind of praises her wisdom. She was the foremost in wisdom among nuns, as Sariputta was the foremost in wisdom among monks. So Vaishakha was called the foremost in wisdom by the Buddha among the nuns. So she had a lot of wisdom. So this kind of concludes, and I can maybe take one more question answers. This is there is one more sutta 43. So maybe that is also a very good question, sutta about questions. And certain times there is a senior monk who goes to another senior monk and asks questions. This is asked basically because they have students with them, and it is asked for the benefit of the students. In some suttas it is clearly mentioned that the students are there and the monk is asking the question. They are the Arahant is there. Arahant monk is asking Arahant monk a question. Why they are doing it is for the benefit of the students, and this is also benefiting us also. And this kind of gives a lot of insight into the Buddha's teaching, because it is kind of talking about finer points which have not been kind of maybe mentioned in many other suttas. It kind of consolidates a lot of knowledge into one kind of conversation. So that helps kind of give a lot of insight into many aspects of our practice. So as we see that this practice has the main component is about the right effort, by looking at the impersonal nature of all the thoughts which are coming, how we are getting caught up in that. As you go higher, you have finer hindrances, and you have to deal with those finer kind of hindrances. So this is a constant process. As and when you understand this and the conditions are right, you have a experience of cessation, and that cessation experience kind of gives you permanently a change of mind, and that change of mind kind of permanently changes your trajectory in life. By just understanding impermanence, Kondanya kind of changed his mind, and then later on he became an Arahant. In the same way, we can kind of gain insight into the teaching, and if you are not even kind of had a cessation experience, but you had an understanding of how the right effort works, how when your mind is distracted you recognize, release, relax and come back. Even if you understand that, then you have changed your trajectory of your normal way of thinking. You can take this in your life also. If your mind is getting distracted with something, your mind comes up with anger, your mind comes up with ill will, and it comes up with something desires, then you can recognize that it is just a desire. It is not me, it's not mine, it's not myself. Then you can let it go, relax, re-smile and come back to whatever you are doing. So by learning the right effort by itself will change the trajectory of your mind. So that's the reason Buddha says that even if you have a Dhamma follower is a follower of the Dhamma by learning, by listening. He follows the Dhamma. So even if he is a Dhamma follower, he can expect that he will not have an eighth life. Okay, so because it changes your way of thinking. It is one monk explained it in a very good manner. He said, say if you are walking in a desert, okay, and you are walking without a compass, and you walk the whole day in a straight line. You think you are walking in a straight line, okay? Then after that, you get a compass and you look at it, and you have only diverted by 1 degree, okay, in the day, okay? So, but you say, okay, this 1 degree is nothing, I'll walk. After 180 days, you are walking in the opposite direction. Okay, so that can be when you are doing the wrong things, you can be kind of totally become wrong by doing a little wrong. In the same way, by doing a little right, you can be also turn 180 degrees. Okay, if by doing a little wrong, you can kind of turn 180 degrees, then you can turn 180 degrees by doing a little right every time. That 180 degree would be achieved. By having a very disturbed mind, you can have a calm mind. But you can have it in 180 degrees. Or if it is half degree improvement you are doing, then 360 cycles of improvement you will have. But you will definitely have that improvement and change of mind if you keep on doing it. That is the reason repetition has been mentioned, cultivation, development. So you have to be repeating, developing and cultivating the 6 R's. And when you do that, you will kind of progress for sure. So I am happy there are questions over here. Bhantaji, can you please tell us some stories related to you so we can correlate, else we feel you are both with these abilities, born with these abilities. I was not born with these abilities. So I had a lot of, I'm still short-tempered because I get temper like this, you know. I can be really short-tempered, but I can recognize my mind and kind of let that go. So this is by the power of 6 R's that I can be calm. And that is how this kind of changes your personality. And that is what Bhante said, that is your measure of how useful this practice is. That if it changes your personality and somebody else recognizes this. So I was also a kind of very nervous, I'm still a nervous traveler, I will not say I'm over it. But when I was going from my friend's house, the cab was not coming and I was not able to find a cab, and my flight time was near. I was not getting agitated. And I was 6Ring, I was looking at the thing and I was kind of saying, okay, we can do this and I'll handle this in this manner. And eventually the cab came and my friend said that there is a real change in you. And that is how kind of you know that this is working. When somebody else tells you that what your habitual tendencies were have changed. So when you are changing your habitual tendencies, that is how you can change, by using the power of 6R. Bhantaji, while meditating, I am unable to focus on object, feeling, unless I keep carrying commentary. There is an observation commentary you should not pay too much attention to. This is nice, this is going on, everything is okay, or something like that. There is an observational commentary. You should not pay too much attention to it. May all be happy and related sentiments feeling stuck. So see, your mind is busy. So when your mind is busy, you do more 6 R's, okay? You smile more. You laugh at your mind. That how crazy my mind is. That is how you kind of keep on doing it, keep on repeating, keep on developing, keep on cultivating this. So sometimes mind is busy, sometimes mind is calm. If the mind is calm, that does not mean anything. If it is busy, it does not mean anything. It does not have any information for you. I can say that the mind was busy because something happened in 5,000 lifetimes ago. This happened and that happened. I can give you a story. That does not help. I can say your mind was calm 5,000 years ago, something happened. That does not have any information for you. Even if I knew how to see the past or something like that, that would be just a story for you. If I am just making up a story also, that is a story for you. So you have no information in that your mind is busy. The only information is that it is busy. And what you have to do is, there is energy, there is too much energy, so you have to take out the energy. How do you take out the energy from that? You smile, you laugh at yourself, you relax more and take out that energy. When that energy is gone, then you will become calm. So, even if you are not calm, you are able to gain insight into your mind by seeing how it is impersonal, seeing how you are creating dukkha for yourself because of this busy mind. You can find out how it is impermanent also, that it is everything is coming and going away, coming and going away. So you can gain insight. Still, you have ability to gain insight into that. Can you explain allowed to have preferences? I like it, I don't like it. Isn't this the cause of dukkha in life, not accepting as it is? Yes, that is what I said, no? So whenever the I like it or I don't like it is based on your perception. Perception has history. So certain things have happened in the past which kind of inclines your mind to like something. Certain things are inclined for you to not like. So I like it or I don't like it, mind is a default. Clinging is all the reasons you give yourself why I like it, why I don't like it. So there was experiments also done by the kind of the people who kind of do research on neuroscience and all those things. They kind of gave certain tasks to the people, and after the task they were asked, why did you choose this thing or that thing? Post facto kind of they made up a reason for why they chose that thing or why they did this thing. So I don't remember the exact details of that, but that means that the mind kind of makes up a story about why I like it or not like it, and that is all the clinging part of it. So mind kind of post facto makes a story that I pressed red because this thing, but he had pressed the blue button. But after that the result shows as the red button, then he kind of gives a justification for the red button, why he clicked the red button. So mind kind of makes up stories and fills up the gap. Certain times people say, see, I had too much trouble. And then they start talking about something else. And our mind is going, what had too much trouble? What happened? What was the trouble? Mind is kind of want to fill up the gap. I had too much trouble. What is the next sentence? So that is how your mind kind of has certain habitual tendencies. It works in a function that is based on the past functioning which it had. So we are breaking that cycle. We are breaking that cycle by taking away energy, by 6Ring. So that is how 6R is important.
The study you were talking about, the one that I'm aware of is done in split brain patients. That's where they basically have seizures unless they put the...
half of the brain is not working.
Yeah, so the two sides aren't communicating. So they can actually, so like the right side of your brain is connected to your left eye. So they can show something to, like a picture of, let's say, 3 images. One's like a chicken, one's a house, and one's a car. And they can show that to the left eye, and then they can basically, the person chooses, but it's just the right half of their brain that's choosing the image. And then they can ask the person, I think it's the left half of the brain that makes up the stories. And so even though they weren't aware like why they chose that object, they'll make up like a hilarious story of why they chose the chicken or something.
Yes.
That's
good. I remember that.
But I also wanted to add something because someone asked me a similar question today, and they basically asked if it's okay to have preferences in everyday life, like is this the cause of suffering if I like this food over that food? And so I was saying that that's not what we mean by not having preferences. It's okay to prefer, one food over another. You don't have to 6R that. Is that right?
See, preferences are a start of kind of cravings, okay? But we cannot say that everything which you kind of have a preference for can lead to that. Then those kind of preferences can be taken in a kind of a manner which is aware manner. You can have preferences in a aware manner. Like you are going for say green bags, you have a preference for green bags, but there is a kind of a awareness that you are preferring to have a green bags. Or you can say that I have preference to have healthy food. Okay, that is not a kind of a attachment. So you have a preference for healthy food because you want a healthy life, and you have preference for say clothes which are not made by child laborers or something. So then that is not a kind of a bad thing. You can have preferences, that you are correct, but with awareness those preferences have to be made. So then it does not kind of hide your cravings. So if you kind of prefer to have sweet after that, then you are kind of after meals, then you kind of make up stories about that. But if you know that awareness that I have a preference for sweets, so I am having extra calories, I will have maybe 2 bread pieces less to get that. So then if it is an aware choice, then you have a balanced life. So that awareness kind of have to be brought into those things. So preference in all cases are not bad. That is correct.
So is it right to say that if a preference leads to agitation, then we are going in the wrong direction?
Correct.
If it doesn't lead to agitation, then
Wholesome and unwholesome, that is. What is the difference between this retreat for Arahant or we had signed up for before Vipassana. So tranquil wisdom insight meditation, this is the tranquil wisdom insight meditation itself. So there is no difference. I am not sure what you are saying before. Before? Huh?
We signed up for the Vipassana, right? And for me all are same. But we signed up for the Vipassana. This is different or they are more or less the same?
It is the same thing. This is the tranquil wisdom insight meditation. So this is the same, or we can say Samatha Vipassana we say. So we have our trust which is there is called Samatha Vipassana Trust. So it is the same thing. Because Vipassana is a word kind of used a lot, so they kind of forget to use the word Samatha sometimes. But Samatha means tranquil wisdom, Vipassana means insight. So tranquil wisdom, insight meditation. So that's the same thing. So we are not teaching anything other than that. Many of times, metta feeling of love and kindness, joy gets converted into gratitude, overflowing gratitude. Shall we do 6R or allow it to happen? If the feeling is changing, it is okay. It is a positive feeling. Of gratitude feeling is positive. So don't 6R that feeling. Let it be with this that feeling. If you are doing directions and the feelings are changing, then it may feel like gratitude. It may feel like compassion. It may feel like joy. Just be with the feeling. Okay, if it is a feeling which is unwholesome, then kind of intervene. While meditating, radiating. So while radiating metta in all directions, suddenly it goes to one close person randomly, for becomes strong and later it moves on beyond him. Shall we allow this or do 6R? No, we don't go to one person because then it becomes kind of an attachment. So we are allowing it to be spread to all beings. We did one person, we can do after the retreat, it's okay. There's no harm in it, and there's sending it to one person, there's no harm in it. After the retreat, you can send it to people who are not alive, who are ill. You want to send it to family members, anybody you want to send, you can send. But this is a practice time. It is a time to develop your mind. It is time to kind of make your mind into, kind of shape it into a way that it is helpful for you. So that if you are doing, then it is okay. But now you can let that person go, and later on you can send that person. Time is very slow here. 1 hour seems like a very long time. Time is relative also. Time is relative. This is Einstein's kind of finding. So the person must be in same category as Einstein. If we are happy, time should fly. That is the same thing Einstein said. Even though we are radiating beta, time while radiating doesn't fly. That is the thing. If it is feeling long, then you are doing something wrong. Okay? If it is feeling very long, then maybe what is happening is that there is certain aversion with that feeling. So then you have to siksar that. You have to recognize that what activity I am doing, there is an aversion coming up to this. Then you let go. If there is aversion is a lot, then we give you a forgiveness meditation. That forgiveness meditation kind of helps a lot. And I have never kind of I've never given a forgiveness meditation to anybody and found that it was not useful. It is 100% of the cases. People have come back and said that this has changed my meditation. 100% of the case. Not even one person. And Bhante kind of used to say that this is the most powerful tool in the toolkit of meditation. So, if you feel that this is happening a lot, there is aversion to doing that, then please come to us and speak to us, and we will give you that forgiveness meditation. And that kind of breaks up the kind of blockages are there. There is energy is there, that it dissolves those energies and kind of lets you kind of go and progress on the path. See, forgiveness meditation is, whenever we are dealing with people or dealing with anything, okay, we have an internal communication. That is the harmonious communication is the thing which Bhante talks about. Harmonious communication is you blame yourself for something, or you blame somebody else for something. So these energies are kind of stuck over there certain times. So when we are kind of in meditation, we are not unable to kind of let go. Then that means that we are holding on to certain things. And when we are holding on to those certain things, when you are doing a forgiveness, when we start with ourselves, may I forgive myself for not understanding. I forgive myself for not understanding. That means that whatever I have done because of ignorance, because of not understanding. That is the reason. But I should not blame myself. I should let go of my guilt feeling of I did this, I did that, in the past I did. But those things are also not defined. Once a student was there who came to me and said that he was not progressing. I said, I will give forgiveness. He said, I don't have any enemies. I don't have any people I have grudges with. So I said, just do the process, Then the next time he came, he said, I had memories which came up from childhood. And memories which I had, did not even remember that I had those memories that had come up, which I had issues and things which had happened. And he could let go of those things. The things which are not even defined, things which you cannot even remember, those things may come up. Then there may be kind of something abstract may come up. That there is a kind of a thing which was there, which was kind of very abstract, which is there. There is an energy which is there, but you are not able to define. That energy gets dissolved. And then you say, oh, there was a certain thing which was there, I could not even define it while experiencing it. And then I have let that go. So, and then there may be people who may come, who may, you say, oh, this was my friend, he's my very good friend, but why is he coming? Then you do that and you say, oh, there is some certain thing which is there over here, which I had forgotten about, and which had scarred my psyche. somehow. And then you let go of that, which is also a dana practice. It is called abhay dana, a gift of fearlessness. We give a gift of fearlessness by forgiving, because we will not have retribution with that person. Once Buddha had a person come and said, there was this classic story which we find, there was a lady who said that this child is mine. And the other lady said, no, this child is mine. And then the Buddha said that you have been fighting for your each other's children for a long, long time. Once upon a time, there was you were kind of not having child, okay, and this woman had 3-4 childs. So you became jealous and poisoned their children. So this woman said, I will take revenge of you. Then the next time, this woman was born as a chicken, and this woman also was born as a chicken. So she went and killed her all chicks. That was the revenge she had. Then something happened, and Buddha goes on to the story, and you are here and you will be going on and on and on forever. So she kind of gives up the child to this thing, and then they give up their enmity. Now this cycle has ended. So by forgiving yourself, you are also ridding yourself of this samsaric cycle of having this, and you are also giving the dana of abhay dana, because you are saying, I will not have retribution to you. So that is the dana practice. You are being generous to yourself by ridding yourself of this connection. You are being generous to them, so you are saying that I will not retribute you, I will not kind of take revenge. So by doing this practice again and again, you kind of clean yourself. And that energy, I have also done that forgiveness practice. So I know that it can be kind of have a profound feeling which is there. Forgiveness, I used to do one forgiveness practice before I met Bhante, was Ho'oponopono, I think so. Ho'oponopono. So that is a Hawaiian practice of this. They had a very good kind of a one-pager where kind of whoever the name comes up, you just write. But Bhante's practice is much more refined, and it is based on Dhamma. So it is much more refined, and it is much more powerful, because I have done both. And I did not know, I had not done meditation or anything when I was in Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono.
Always everyone gets it wrong.
So, जो भी person नया है meditation में, he can directly do this.
Bhante actually suggested this also to me, that in India he said that many people are holding on to many things. So everybody should do forgiveness meditation. So yes, we can kind of start a retreat with this also. But online retreats we have done only of forgiveness retreats have been done. Online retreats where they kind of go through 7 days through the forgiveness only. So this is a kind of good idea, but they also had that idea that we can go, because everybody holds on to something, you know. So it's a cleaning process. First day of forgiveness and then 9 days of metta.
Even a person who has no conscious feelings of resentment, that person also experiences.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Every person can kind of take up this practice, and will find there are certain things which was there which he had undefined.
So suppressed to a point that they have to forget, otherwise the trauma would
Yes, yes. They can be, those were suppressed, but they may be, may not be kind of a big thing. Like the one thing which that guy told me was that in school something had happened. It was a very minor thing. But the psychic scar of that was more than that incident. So incident had gone, get forgotten, but that scar remained. And then when he realized, oh, this is such a minor thing, let it go, then everything.
It's kind of interesting too that I found this. Sometimes you don't really know even what you've just forgiven, but there'll be a release. Like I was just walking on the road and then something like released, and then I was just alternating laughing and crying for like a mile, just walking, and I don't even know what it was. It could have been like a very, very memory.
But I was the one who has written it down, and I told him you also have problems with the time. So you said I have a burden. I mean, right now in interview said I have blockage, that's the reason I'm not able to go, and I just could not find it apart from quantity and quality. Another told me to do the forgiveness things, whether that happens. So if I'm changing over the practice from radiating metta to this for next 3 days, is that okay? I don't want to go home with a feeling of heaviness if the forgiveness process stays halfway in this 3 days.
It is, you can continue with.
Radiating metta is a very nice feeling which I know that once I go home I'm really happy. Joyful. So is it okay to change over just for the fact that I'm just not able to overcome the time factor?
You can change over, that is not an issue. The thing is, don't give yourself a time of 3 days or something. Do it as much as is required. If it is.
Metta practice stops there, then I won't be broke. I'm fairly doing well, is what I perceive. So that will stop there and then, right? So is that okay?
It's okay. It's up to you.
So what is best for it is.
See, if you feel that there is a block and you have to deal with it, then do the forgiveness meditation.
Only the time is the block. I think the process is fairly okay, and fairly smooth for me and people.
Take a coin and flip then.
If I may,
Or do it for 1 day. Yes.
like in this current society, most of us are used to having time filled continually with so many different things. And so when we don't have experience being in a place of emptiness, where we don't have escape mechanisms and distractions, whether that's the phone or children or work or all of these different things, then like you said, time is relative, and we are also practicing being present here with the moment. Most of the time we're not present, we're multitasking and thinking about different things. And so I think it's natural when we first begin experiencing retreats or separation to feel like time is taking a long time, and then slowly you gain a relationship with this type of time as well.
Yeah. And if you have a job which is more keeping you more busy with many things and intellectually engaged, then it will be more kind of you are related to time, you know. So then that may be kind of one of the issues. I would suggest do forgiveness from now till we meet tomorrow, and tell us what is the thing. Okay? Yes.
As per the task, I have given whether to all the directions, 6 directions for universe. But giving to metta, I have given purely from my heart, deeply from my heart. Everything also I feel enjoy everything. Again, why next time I have to give the same thing?
So this is just an anchor. This is an anchor. So you are keeping your thoughts on a wholesome thing and learning from that whenever your mind is moving. Okay, from this movement of mind we are learning, not from just the metta. You have given the metta is good, and as you say there is a very much need for metta. Say there are countless beings, and there are countless animals, and there are countless plants, and many things are
I
there.
said every creation on this universe I have given metta to all objects.
Yes, but
Second thing, I got an answer also, but it will be wrong, but I don't know.
okay.
I am thinking that at present, the creatures in this universe which are present, I have given to them, but the newcomers which are there coming, they also need metta.
That is also, actually in the sutta they say that giving to the who have not yet been born. In Karnya Metta Sutta it is mentioned, there is Pali department to back me up here. So yes, that is.
मैं तो दिल से दिया हूँ सब।
हाँ।
फिर वापस दूसरी बार देना है नहीं, जो पहले जो दिया था वो दिल से
नहीं, ये क्या है कि यहाँ पे आपको ठहरना है, जैसे है ना, उसको बोलते हैं कि यहाँ पे आपका निवास है। जो मेत्ता है ब्रह्म विहारा है। मेत्ता आप छोड़ के करुणा पे जाएंगे, करुणा से मुदिता पे जाएंगे, मुदिता से उपेक्षा पे जाएंगे। ये आपका निवास है, अभी आपका एक घर है, यहाँ पे आपको रहना है। ओके, और इससे आपको सीखना है कि आपका मन का जो है झुकाव कहाँ पे हो रहा है। जहाँ पे मन झुक रहा है उसका मतलब है वहाँ पे आसक्ति है। तो आपको वो आसक्ति के बारे में पता चलेगा, उस आसक्ति को जाने देना है और फिर से वापस आपका निवास पे आना है, जो है मेत्ता भेजना या करुणा भेजना या मुदिता भेजना या उपेक्षा भेजना। फिर एक बार आएगा कि आपको वो कहीं पे मेत्ता भी नहीं जा रही है, सिर्फ आप मन से मन को देख रहे हैं। उसे हमें शांत मन, हाँ शांत मन बोलते हैं, उसे शांत मन में देखना है। फिर आपके जो सूक्ष्म जो आसक्तियां है वो आएगी, आपकी वो सूक्ष्म आसक्तियों को आपको देखना है और जाने देना है, देखना है और जाने देना है। क्योंकि उसके साथ में आपको ये नहीं करना है, उसके साथ में कोई जो देखने की कोशिश नहीं करना है, वार्तालाप नहीं करना है, कुछ भी नहीं करना है। उसको जैसे ही आपने देखा उसको रिलैक्स करके जाने देना है। तो तब आपका जो मन है उसको शुद्धिकरण होता है वहां पे। क्यों शुद्धिकरण होता है? क्योंकि आपकी जो बारीक जो सूक्ष्म जो ये है पकड़ है वो भी आपकी चली जाती है। ओके, तो आपको so he is doing good, huh? His wife is also doing good. We are, if they are doing good, we know that they have had a good life. That's very good. How to get and keep the feeling of it's impersonal after doing 6 hours in the daily life. So you keep on doing that and then learn. That is a relearning of your habits. So you are recreating your old habitual tendencies with new habitual tendencies. When you have replaced it with new habitual tendencies, it will automatically happen. You don't have to it is the decreasing amount of effort is required. Once Bhante said, Bhante Vimalamsi, he said to one of his student, go and keep doing 6 hours in their life, okay, in their daily life. Somebody said, how many times you did 6 hours, you tell me. Then somebody said, I did 6 hours all the time. I may have done 6 hours 100 times. Somebody said that I have done 6 hours for 50 times. One lady came and said, no, it was a very bad day. I said, when they said, how many times did you do 6 hours? So she said, oh, I must have done 6 hours, say 4 times. She said, that is very good. Because in a day you are doing 0 6 hours and then now you are doing 4 6 hours, means that is 4 times you realized your mind was in unwholesome state and you came back. As you keep on doing, maybe it will go to 8 times you realize, then it may be 10 times, it may be 20 times. In that way your attention will grow. So even if you are starting off, and even if it is some times you do 4 times 5 times in a day, that is a good start, because otherwise you would be totally 0% this thing. If you even do 2 times, then that is also an infinite percent of increase. If maths is right, so then you have an infinite percent of increase. From there on you have incremental increases. If you do from 2 to 4, then you have 100% increase in the day. So that way you can slowly increase. But if you don't start, then there is no finishing. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So you have to take that single step.
Basically, after doing 6 hours, you should add on one sentence that this is impersonal, it's not related to me. Because when I'm doing 6 hours, I'm just pushing it away.
6 hour has, so that is the thing you have to re-examine the 6 hours. 6 hour has the realization of impersonality, because your attention is moving on your own. When you recognize that it is not you that brought this attention over here. It is over here now, and you realize that. That is the impersonal thing. You release it means you are not fighting with it. That is also an impersonal thing, because if you can remove that, then it was a personal thought. If you could have removed, one philosopher in America, he said it very kind of very easily, in a very simple sentence. He said, if you think you are thinking, stop thinking. So, if it was your thoughts, then stop it. But you cannot, that means it is impersonal.
I think it's worth also saying that the 6 R's aren't a stick, like you're not trying to push things away.
No, but I'm clarifying that the first sentence is recognizing that I was just recognizing it. I was not attaching a feeling of this is different than me. So that feeling also, that meaning of recognize, I feel I got that.
Okay. Okay? Yes?
I have one question, just clarification question. So, is anagami that state where one is free from sensual attachment, or other than that also?
Sensual attachment and aversion. Sakdagami has reduced the sensual attachment and aversion, but they still have. One of the question answers they ask about this thing, about sensual attachment. And then they kind of remind, the Buddha kind of reminds, or the speaker kind of reminds the person that you still have that. It is reduced, but you still have that sensual desire, and aversion is there. But those aversion and sensual desires are weakened. After the second next step, they are totally gone. One way of explaining anagami is that he can have the royal food and have no attachment to it, without any danger or fear. Without any fear, the monk can have the royal food, because then even if he has the best foods in the world, he will not be attached to it, because the sense pleasure of the food will not be a danger to the monk. So that is one way of explaining it.
Didi, I have one more question. So in Sutta we were talking about mental formation and body formation, spirit formation. So why there are different अलग से डिस्क्रिप्शन, जबकि बॉडी एंड स्पीच फॉर्मेशन मेंटल फॉर्मेशन का ही पार्ट है?
नहीं, वो है ना, सिखाने के लिए रहता है। बुद्ध क्या कहते हैं कि हमारा जो धम्म है, वो धम्म इसलिए सिखाया जाता है कि जितना आपको समझने के लिए काफ़ी रहेगा। इसके अंदर बहुत सारा आप और ये कर सकते हैं, और बहुत सारे जो ट्रेडिशन आए हैं उसके अंदर और उसके डीप में गए हैं, मगर उससे आपको नेसेसरीली फ़ायदा नहीं होता। आप और उसका ये करेंगे, विश्लेषण करेंगे तो और फ़ायदा नहीं होता। तो जितना ज़रूरी है उतना आपको बताया गया है। और वो किस लिए है? वो एक टूल की तरह है, एक औजार की तरह है। वो औजार को इस्तेमाल करके हमें एक एम तक पहुंचना है। जैसे एक व्यक्ति है जहाँ पे खतरा है, वहाँ पे जंगल में फंसा हुआ है, और वहाँ पे एक नदी है और उसके नदी के पार में यहाँ पे सुरक्षा है। तो यहाँ से वो वहाँ जाने के लिए क्या करता है कि लकड़ियाँ उठाता है और उसको कुछ बांधता है और उसको एक ये बनाता है, राफ्ट जैसा बनाता है, और उसको राफ्ट से वो उस जगह पे जाता है। उस तरह से ये धम्म भी है जिसका इस्तेमाल करके आप ये संसार से लेके आप निब्बान तक जाते हैं। तो बुद्ध क्या कहते हैं? दुख और दुख का अंत, मैं वही सिखाता हूँ। बाकी बहुत कुछ विश्लेषण करने के लिए है, मगर दुख और दुख का अंत। दुख कब होता है? जब हम सारी चीज़ों को व्यक्तिगत लेते हैं, हम इसके खिलाफ जाने की कोशिश करते हैं जो सत्य है, तब हमें दुख का अनुभव होता है। जब हम पता चलता है कि अव्यक्तिगत है, तो हम इससे चिपकते नहीं हैं, और फिर हमारा दुख से अंत होता है। So, और एक चीज, this one interesting thing which is there in the suttas also they are mentioned is, we say that there is impersonality, there is impermanence, dukkha, and anatta, that is impersonality. So if these three are there, one has the other two characteristics. Okay, so if we say impermanence, if this is impermanence, then it is dukkha, because if there is something which is not permanently with you, then it goes and it creates dukkha. The painful feeling, what is the counterpart is, because it becomes changes. Pleasant feeling becomes, it goes and it becomes painful. That is the reason it has dukkha. If it is a soul, a self, then it cannot be impermanent. Impersonality cannot be there. So the impermanent thing cannot be a soul. So it has the quality of impersonality and dukkha. Okay? If there is dukkha, then that cannot be permanent. It has to be impermanent, and it cannot be a soul. It has impersonality in it, if it is dukkha. So when we take just impersonality, if it is impersonality, it is not a soul. It is then it is impermanence is there, because there is no permanence over here. There is then the impermanence is there, and then there is a factor of dukkha, because it has impermanence in it. So each thing has the other two characteristics in it.
So basically, you can say the body and the speech are interdependent to mind.
So that is what they say, that why is this, it is the speech, because it is a mental factor, because it starts in the mind and then it comes out of the mouth, you know. So we verbalize it. Before verbalizing, we have the mental thing which happens, then the verbal thing. That is the reason it is a mental factor. So in that way. So there is a lot of kind of minute things which other scholars have done, and that I find that are not as kind of important, because the Buddha has given it in a very simple fashion. People think that the suttas are very complicated. I have been reading you suttas, and they don't seem to be too complicated. They are straightforward, you know. There are complicated suttas also. So that we don't have to learn everything. The Buddha said that even if you learn a single line properly, and that is effectively you kind of this thing follow, that like the impermanence is there, just to kind of put your attention on impermanence, still you will kind of progress. So you don't have to learn the 84,000 suttas over here. Even a small amount of suttas is enough for you to understand. So that is how kind of the Buddha kind of gives encouragement.
Is it possible, so the path is dana, sila, and bhana. Is it possible to do only dana and retreat?
One sutta actually says that. There is one sutta which says that, and I will maybe take it on the last day of the retreat. That sutta I will read it.
It is possible, but very rare.
It may be very rare, because, and then it requires maybe the mental development already. So if you are giving in the dana in this fashion, then it will lead to.
And dana of what? So Buddha is giving dana of his life.
So there is a sutta which I may have kind of read it one or other times on my Zoom meeting. So that I can read that sutta. So yes. There is a small part also if you are totally doing it, but if Shila by itself is not kind of considered, but you have to have a aspect of understanding the at least the Itipuso type, means the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. So you have to understand the good qualities of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha with doing the Shila. Keeping the 5 precepts and learning Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha will lead to the Sotapanna is mentioned in multiple suttas.
Without the dana.
Without the dana also. Just this thing, you keep the Shila and kind of contemplate on the Itipiso. There are multiple suttas over there, and one of the, kind of in Thailand, somebody has collected all those suttas and put a book also.
So this contemplation on the qualities, that is dhyana, that is bhava, it is a form of bhava.
Yes, but not chanting as such without meaning. It is just contemplating on the meaning of this.
And if there is an opportunity to guide, what are the forces acting upon our present moment? It is not just fruit of old karma, like we were discussing.
Yeah.
What are the forces? Not just about sickness, but what are the forces acting upon our present moment?
So this is the volition, that is the other force which is there. The one is the force of kamma, the other is the volition, the ability to recognize and redirect your mind, attention. When you are redirecting your mind's attention, you are redirecting the whole of the karmic flow. You are kind of interrupting the karmic flow and bringing up new karma. So you are even preventing vipaka, because certain times what happens, there is a thought in the mind, let me kind of do this, that is breaking of one of the precepts. But if you have this awareness of 6 hours and you have this, then you get the thought, you recognize it, you release it, relax it, and come back. You smile and come back, and you say, okay, that may be kind of a bad thing to do. So that is the reason when a person is a sotapanna cannot do certain heinous crimes. They can still maybe break a precept or something like that. Maybe he may kind of have alcohol or something like that. He may kind of break precepts, minor precepts, and he will have guilt feeling on that, and then he can self-correct himself. But he will not do anything which will bring him to the animal realm or the lower birth. So there are 5 that is crimes they are said that are very heinous, like injuring a Buddha, killing a Arahant, killing mother, father, creating a split in the Sangha. So those things a person is incapable of. That's the reason he is incapable of going to the lower realms. And then he kind of has a bent of mind also created. When he has created the bent of mind, he will not see the 8th birth. That is what the Buddha has said.
What is Sotapanna?
Sotapanna is somebody who has given up 3 चीज उन्होंने त्याग दी है. सोतापन्ना जो होता है, उन्होंने एक चीज त्याग दी है कि ये जो हम ये क्या शीलबद्ध परमासा बोलते हैं, जैसे हम कोई कार्य करके जो बाहरी कार्य है, जैसे किसी को हम फूल चढ़ाना या किसी नदी में जाके डुबकी लगाना, कर्मकांड करके हम जो है मोक्ष को नहीं पहुंच सकते हैं. पहले वो जो विचार है वो उन्होंने दे दिया है, छोड़ दिया. फिर उनको विचार ये जो चीज जो हम कर रहे हैं अभी, उससे हमें मोक्ष प्राप्त होगा, उसका विश्वास दृढ़ हो जाता है. उसका जो संदेह है वो संदेह छोड़ देते हैं. फिर और एक चीज है कि हमारा जो अव्यक्तिगत का जो है, इसके अंदर उनको एक आभास होता है कि अव्यक्तिगत किस तरह से कार्य करता है, अव्यक्तिगत कार्य जो है किस तरह से होता है, तो ये उनके अंदर आभास हो जाता है. तो ये 3 चीज के हिसाब से उनका फिर क्या होता है कि आगे उनका जो है डेवलपमेंट ही होता है और उनको पतन कभी देखना नहीं पड़ता. कभी अगर उनका जन्म होना है बाद में, तो जन्म सिर्फ मनुष्य या देव योनि में ही होगा.
So, one more question. So, full awakening के लिए कौन-कौन से steps होते हैं, like अनागामी?
तो उसके बाद में सगदागामी है. सगदागामी में 2 चीज और कमजोर हो जाती है. तो वो है आपका जो सेंशुअल लस्ट जो बोलते हैं और अवर्जन, वो दो चीज़ है वो कमज़ोर होती है. उसके बाद अनागामी के अंदर वो 2 चीज़ निकल जाती है. तो 5 चीज़ जो है उन्होंने छोड़ दी है. फिर कुछ चीज़ें रहती है जैसे रेस्टलेसनेस है, स्टॉटन टॉर पर है, फिर दूसरे कोई देवलोक में जन्म लेने का ये है. फिर थोड़ा अस्मिमान रहता है कि अस्मिमान थोड़ा रहता है, और फिर अविद्या रहती है. सो कोई बहुत माइनर चीज़ें, वो 5 चीज़ें रहती हैं, वो फिर अगर जाती हैं तब आप अरहंत हो जाते हैं. उसे माइनर बोलते हैं क्योंकि बहुत ही कम है. अगर वो आपका यहाँ पे नहीं खत्म हुआ तो आपका मृत्यु के समय खत्म हो सकता है. फिर मृत्यु के समय नहीं खत्म हुआ तो मृत्यु के दौरान खत्म हो सकता है. वो मृत्यु के दौरान खत्म नहीं हुआ तो मृत्यु घटने पर खत्म हो सकता है। अगर वो मृत्यु घटने पर नहीं खत्म हुआ तो यहाँ से आपका जो चेतना है ब्रह्मलोक तक जा रही है, उसके बीच में खत्म हो सकता है। उसमें अगर नहीं खत्म हुआ तो ब्रह्मलोक में पहुंचते ही खत्म हो सकता है। अगर उसमें नहीं हुआ तो ब्रह्मलोक में थोड़ी देर रह के हो सकता है, फिर उसमें नहीं हुआ तो ब्रह्मलोक में ज्यादा देर रह के हो सकता है। मगर वो आपका वो जो 5 जो बाकी है वो निकल जाएंगे।
एक सवाल ऐसा है विपश्यना के परम से कि हमारे पास जो विधि हम करते हैं,
हाँ,
विधि करते वक्त हम सबसे श्रेष्ठ मानते हैं वो हमारे बनते गुरु है। कभी कभी क्या होता है, बनते जी को जब बुलाए जाते हैं उपासक के हाथ से वो पूजा पाठ के विधि करते हैं,
हाँ,
तो इसमें क्या फर्क है? क्या होता है?
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है। हम नहीं मानते हैं और ना ही हमारे गुरु मानते हैं कि ऐसा कुछ बनते जी के हाथ से करेंगे तो और अच्छा रहेगा, या किसी को विधि है। वो विधि करने का कारण क्या है कि हमारे मन का जो है जो शंका है वो निकले। ऐसा जैसे कुछ लोग वो करते हैं, एक चैंटिंग करते हैं, जैसे जो गुजर गए हैं उनके लिए वो चैंटिंग आप घर पे भी कर सकते हैं। वो ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको बनते जी के साथ ही करना है वो। मगर आप जो दान करते हैं उसके अंदर अगर आप किसी संघ को देते हैं उसके अंदर सबसे ज्यादा आपको पुण्य मिलता है। तो आप दान करेंगे और उसका पुण्य आप अपने जो परिवार वाले हैं और जो मृत है उनके साथ में आप बांटेंगे तो उसको फायदा होता है।
इसके ऊपर का एक प्रश्न ऐसा है कि बहुत बड़े पैमाने में शादी वगैरह बड़ा कार्य होता है, तो जो बनते जी जिस तरह से समझा सकते हैं, फिर बातें बता सकते हैं, उपासक का उतना स्टडी नहीं होता है। तो ये जो बात बौद्ध धर्म के सिलसिले में जो बात है, तो वो अगर वहां पर थोड़ा हमें ये लगता है कि भाई वहां पर अगर भिक्षु होते बनते होते तो काफी वहां पर ये मिल सकता है।
हाँ, अच्छा, मगर आप ये जानिए कि अगर कोई शादी ब्याह है उसके अंदर हमें आना नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि भिक्षु की तरह शादी ब्याह में आना वो, हाँ, विनय में भी नहीं, तो वो शादी ब्याह ना में नहीं। तो उस तरह से है। मगर अभी क्या है, कुछ लोग बुलाते भी है, मगर अगर जैसे थाईलैंड में वो लोग क्या करते हैं, शादी अगर होने वाली है या श्रीलंका में भी शादी अगर होने वाली है तो उससे कुछ दिन पहले भिक्षु को घर पे बुलाएंगे, उनको दान देंगे, खाना का दान जो है, भोजन दान देंगे, कुछ दान दे देंगे। उसका जो ये है पुण्य है। हाँ, परित रिसाइट, कभी कभी परित रिसाइट करते हैं कुछ, हाँ, तो वैसा। मगर वो ये श्रीलंका में भी कभी भी हम लोग है ना, कोई भी शादी के समय नहीं गए हैं, अभी कभी भी शादी के टाइम पे नहीं रहते हैं वो।
शादी के अंदर बुलाया ही जाता है, थोड़ा कंफ्यूज लगता है कि ये जो उपासक और इसमें क्या फर्क होता है।
हाँ, तो उनको शायद जो दान देना है तो पहले दो या बाद में दो, वो दौरान नहीं। वैसा अगर रहेगा तो ही अच्छा है। बाद में अगर उनको बुला के अलग से उनको भिक्षा दे और कुछ दान दे तो और अच्छा है। ओके।
In the last retreat, Sister Eva said that the meditation will take you till Anagami.
No, it is metta meditation will take you to the 4th jhana. Then arupa jhana, first jhana, this is infinite space, is compassion, karma. Then mudita is infinite consciousness. Then upekha is infinite nothingness. Then that is the end of it. After that, all the practices merge. Even if you have come from anapanasati, at that point of time there is no breath. So then again you are in quiet mind. Even if you come from anapanasati or even if you come from Brahma Viharas, at this point of quiet mind, both are merging. You have to be in the quiet mind. So there, if you are coming from anapanasati, if you are in quiet mind, you have no sensation of breath.
Which is the key.
The 7th and 8th, that is kind of that is why Bhante says quiet mind. So sometimes you are in nothingness, sometimes you are in the perception, non-perception. At that point of time, you don't feel the breath.
So if the breath stops, that's the experience.
You don't have to pay attention in our practice. When you are doing Anapanasati, I am saying.
Right. In the Anapanasati practice, some practitioners will put that their breath stop for a few moments.
Not, they will have no sensation of breath.
Yeah,
at that time. Yeah. That is in the quiet mind. Okay, I think it is too late, 8:30. We can kind of share merits. May suffering once be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu.